Alrighty, regulators, let's mount up here. Welcome back for some more Dead Man's Hand. We're going to take a look at one of the most exciting factions that they added as part of this revamped edition. Also, this expansion here with the bad and the ugly. Definitely one that we're going to get in the pipeline real fast for getting these guys painted and hopefully into some games. Very eager to test these guys out. But the regulators, if you know, you know. But basically, Billy the Kid's faction here, if you will. So if you've seen like Young Guns and stuff way back in the day, which, let's face it, if you like Westerns and you're playing miniature games here, you probably know all about that. So let's take a look at what their roster brings and then their special rules and what kind of cards they have and how this faction will likely be best used. So at least half the faction has to have a pistol as their sole ranged weapon, so pretty standard stuff there. And again, a typical rule that we've seen with this new version of the game, if mounted characters are permitted, then one mounted character can have a lasso, so typical stuff there. No points for that either, which is great. So, and then we get two special rules. Pals, which is all the time basically. So once per turn, a single character can move 20 centimeters, so which is basically 8 inches, when using a duck back interruption instead of the normal 10. So pretty cool ability there, just to get yourself out of harm's way, but also can be some fairly solid repositioning there. You know, we're just getting out of harm's way with that, but 8 inches lets us definitely maneuver for future activations and stuff like that. So pretty cool there. Not necessarily overly powerful, but when used correctly, definitely will be a good deal. And then finally, that's a lot of killing once per game. So we're gonna have to always, find or realize, what is the opportune moment for this. But once per game after a regulator has been taken out of action for the remainder of the turn, all remaining regulators receive +1 to shoot, and that really can be a decisive turn. Now, ideally, we don't want to go about losing our models, right? We want to just take out the opponent as much as possible. But when set up correctly, right, and ideally, we can choose, right? We don't have to. It doesn't have to be the first regulator taken out or anything like that. But we want to just ideally have that unit or that model be taken out like more or less the top of the turn or right away, so that then we can get as much benefit from this throughout the rest of the turn, and ideally with as many models as we have left. But that +1 to shoot, just blanket across the board, will be pretty damn powerful. So let's take a look here. We get our typical boss, which is going to be fairly typical stats, although the boss does have a +1 in hand-to-hand as well. So 5 hits, 2 up nerve, +1 shoot, +1 hand-to-hand, and 6 rep. The kid is optional, but come on, right? If we're taking the regulators, we got to bring in Billy the Kid. Comes with 2 pistols built in, so basically won't ever run out of ammo, which definitely means you can get super aggressive with him and hopefully just blaze away. 4 hits, 3 up nerve, built-in +2 to shoot, but no hand-to-hand bonus. Makes sense. 5 rep there, and that'll be a nasty turn too, where let's say that's a lot of killing is active. You take his +2, maybe you're at point blank to a lot of opponents' models, so you're already at like +5, and then maybe you just blaze away with all 3 shots, and you go from like +5 to +4 to +3 on that third shot. Still is pretty powerful. And hopefully you can just dish out a hell of a lot of damage. Our basic regulators, where we finally get some options, we can go pistol or repeater rifle. One guy can also have a buffalo rifle. So if you want, I think in the movie it was Doc who had that, right? So that gets us another faction that actually can employ the buffalo rifle. So very much like a musket, just hits as hard, but also just has basically the best range in the game. So if you're playing on the typical like 3x3, maybe even a 4x4 table or something, you can range the board basically. Doesn't mean you're going to hit at long range necessarily, but when it hits, it does hurt like hell. So, but also again, repeaters is always a cool one to have access to. And that's our standard unit there. 4 up nerve, no other bonuses to rep. Have to have at least 2 of these boys. And then up to 4 young men, again, pistol or repeater. And up to 2 can have a shotgun, so useful, definitely that we get that. And again, these are our typical low-level stat guys. 3 hits, 6 up nerve, -1 to shoot, also -1 to hand, so that's a little bit rough. And only 1 point though, so this is a good spot to park. The guys with shotguns, certainly, if we want to, ideally, at almost always take at least one shotgun, right? But having access to two can be pretty potent, especially if it's that turn where there's a lot of killing. We can negate the shooting penalty at least, and then just have essentially a standard shotgun if we want to go that route. But also dirt cheap if we just go the pistol route for these boys. But lots of options there, so good selection of weapons. And let's take a look at the cards then. So, some fun cards here. So at the jack position, P.S. I changed my mind. Kiss my ass. So, play when an opponent declares they are going to interrupt. They cannot interrupt, but lose the turn as normal for the interrupting character. So that's a pretty cool one to shut off. Lets you, again, be a little bit more aggressive, and maybe you can kind of bluff your way into some situations with that too. If the opponent doesn't know, if they go to interrupt, boom, you drop that down. Maybe they can't counter it, and now they've just wasted their interrupt for that model and messing up some of their activations. But there's sometimes where maybe they'll just choose not to interrupt because they feel like you might have that card available to you, and you just get some freebies out of that. So pretty cool card. Moving on then. He ain't all there, is he? At the queen spot. So play when one of your characters is forced to take a nerve test. It's passed automatically, and the character who had to take the test can also remove an under fire marker if they had one already. So pretty potent dual use card there, right? Are some of our regular boys there, right? 4-up nerve, 6-up nerve on the young men. That's a great sort of 2-for-1. We can pass that nerve test, especially if it's going to be a little shaky. And then if they had a damage on there, it's a free action basically, right? We can heal up a damage. So, but no matter what, even if we just it's like the boss or the kid, we don't want to even waste time trying for the roll, but we want to just get at least that heal out of it too. It doesn't always mean that you're using it in a situation where you're worried about failing the nerve test necessarily. It's just also getting that free heal as opposed to wasting an action. So good stuff so far. Nothing like busted with these guys, but just good stuff. At the king spot, get ready for hell. Play at the beginning of the turn before any characters have activated. For the remainder of the turn, regulators ignore all modifiers for under fire markers. That's a pretty potent one. So, if we're like mid to late game, we've probably taken some damage here and there. And maybe this is that turn where we just need to go, blaze of glory essentially and just blast away and really just focus on damage output as opposed to taking some actions to heal up. This is a great one to have. And, if we've already got like 2-3 damage on us, those negative modifiers absolutely can just suck up all the potential damage that we could cause on the rolls. Having this is pretty potent. So again, not broken by any means, but very, very powerful in the right situation for sure. And, if this is also the turn where we've decided to activate, that's a lot of killing. We're getting a bonus, and ignoring the penalties is a huge swing there as far as the math goes, potentially for us. So really good stuff there. And then finally, we have at the ace position here, Reap the Whirlwind, Brady, Reap It. So play at the beginning of the turn before any characters have activated. For the remainder of the turn, regulators get +1 to all shooting and hand-to-hand, which is huge, right? So this is basically like, that's a lot of killing, but just whenever we can play this card, fantastically powerful, right? So if the ace isn't out on the board, the opponent has to maybe hold up their ace, which is powerful as well, denying them maybe one of their best cards, depending on the faction. And here we get this. So, in an ideal, just awesome turn, right? We drop this turn on a turn. Boom, all of our guys, let's say they don't have the counter. Everyone's got +1 in shooting, +1 hand-to-hand. Let's go back to the stats here, right? So that just makes the young men, if there's still some out there, just normal stats, right? No penalties whatsoever for these boys. The regular regulators, +1, +1, +3, +1, +2, +2. Huge. And then let's say we can also maybe time it right. We're going to get one of our guys killed potentially. So then we'll say like, hey, we're going to say that's a lot of killing and get that on there too. So it would basically be that everyone would have +2 to shoot and +1 to hand. So looking at some scenarios with that then, right? So he's at +3 and +2. So you can definitely put some work in close combat. Don't always want to maybe take a chance of risking the boss, but that +3 to shoot's pretty nasty too. So, ideally we can activate +3 to shoot. Let's say we're getting point blank just for optimal ranges. Ideally to a couple of opponents. Again, we're getting that sweet, what is that, +3, let's see here, plus 1. The card is +2, the ability is +3, and then point blank, yeah, +5. Yep, from that he'd potentially get a +6 at point blank, which would just be bonkers. And again, we're not even worrying about running out of ammo with him. So in a perfect situation, the kid really with like three shots at something and a +6, in an ideal situation, if he takes out like 3 guys in one turn, even at that point, great. If he gets taken out afterwards, so be it. But you could just get those hot rolls, right? And especially if the dice are actually with you and you're getting those 19s and 20s, just boom, boom, boom. We're not even worried about just putting damage on folks. We're just dropping people with that. That can be huge. But even for the regular guys, right? +2 to shoot. Not terrible by any means, depending on the gun. Getting some +2s on like repeaters. Maybe we take an aim and then some shots. Getting just a good shot if there's that one dude with the buffalo rifle potentially. But also kind of a sneaky bit here. The young men, so again, in that perfect situation, the card will cancel out their penalties. So we're at 0. A lot of killing will be +1. And let's say we go point blank, +7 on double barrel guys. Or if we take the regular shot, that's 2 single barrels at, I think, what was it, +5 a piece, but -1 for the second shot, so still +4. A lot of just throw all the math in there, but just a lot of potential ability for these guys to essentially have one badass turn, almost movie like, kind of the end of the first Young Guns movie, where we're just like, all right, we're just going to go out blazing here and cause all kinds of damage. To turn everything on perfectly, though, we got to, again, sacrifice somebody. So ideally, one of the lower point models, right? Obviously, would suck if we lose the kid or the boss. And then, on the other hand, though, if we're at a point in the game and we lose the kid or the boss, that's, I think, the time to then immediately declare that, because, right, we don't want to take a chance of losing the other one at the same time too. And then we're really down to just regular schmoes. And probably not doing so well in the game. So a lot of potential here. Really cool cards. Liking these guys again. Nothing overly powerful except until we get to the ace. I'd say that's supremely powerful in the right situation. So if the opponent doesn't have a counter for that, is going to be a good turn for you. And hell, even if you don't activate, that's a lot of killing. It's still going to be a good turn for you. So very, very potent card. Also being able to just turn off negative modifiers is huge if the damage is starting to pile up. So definitely we're all focused on like offense with this. We do get a nice sort of double use card here with some healing, and then just screwing up their turns with that, getting one of their models and kind of, again, playing some mind games with that, getting a little overly aggressive, hoping that they'll try to interrupt, and boom, you throw that out there, and you just got one of their models essentially to waste their activation. So all in all, Regulators are super cool. I will say I didn't before getting the book, I was kind of thinking they'd maybe do something with these guys like the Magnificent Seven or something, where they'd be sort of more individual characters in that sense, kind of like that faction. But this is still a pretty cool faction in the way that it plays. Although again, I wish they would have kind of made some of the characters maybe stand out a little bit more. Although the kid is of course the kid with the double pistols, so that'd be one where tying into some of the lore and legend for like Billy the Kid, maybe like something where he doesn't suffer long range on pistols or something like that too, if the legends would be believed. So, but anyway, could be something to house rule too, and just when you're playing for fun. But definitely something we're going to look at here and getting on the table soon. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll have more Dead Man's Hand very soon.